At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
The PC gave us computing power at home, the internet connected us, and mobile let us do it pretty much anywhere. Now generative AI lets us communicate with technology in our own language using our own senses. But figuring it all out when you're living through it is a totally different story. Welcome to Leading the Shift, a new podcast from Microsoft Azure. I'm your host, Susan Ettlinger. In each episode, leaders will share what they're learning to help you navigate all this change with confidence. Please join us. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
You are listening to the Animation Addicts podcast with the Rotoscopers, episode 190, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. It's my birthday, okay?
Welcome to the Animation Addicts podcast with the Rotoscopers, the #1 place to get your animation fix with animation addicts just like you. Each episode, we dive into the wonderful world of animation featuring Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, and everything in between. From hilarious discussions and movie reviews to interviews with industry insiders, this show's mission is to brighten your day through our love and appreciation of animation. So hop on your nerdy couch, grab some snacks, and get ready to hang out with your animation besties because it's time to dive into today's episode. Welcome, everybody. We're your hosts. I'm Morgan Stradling.
I'm Chelsea Robson.
And I'm Mason Smith.
And today we are excited because it is Chelsea's birthday episode.
Yay!
And happy birthday has officially come out of public domain. Or it is in public domain. And so the song that forever no one could sing is the most universal song of all time. We can now give Chelsea a warm, official birthday song. So happy birthday to you. And that's all I got. Well, getting back to our main discussion, since it is Chelsea's birthday, she chose a very, very special movie. We let her have free reign of all the movies in the world. And she chose, out of all the movies, Disney's Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Yep. I mean, you guys have total respect for all of my movie choices. I know this since the beginning.
Yeah, you're going to have to really explain yourself on this one, Chelsea.
Her very first choice, she chose Rockadoodle.
I liked the Rockadoodle episode.
I just have a very sentimental place in my heart with this movie.
Awesome. So that will be perfect. We are going to dive right into that. So,
meaning you didn't like it?
No.
Yeah, you have some serious explaining to do.
We have a different point of view here.
So, happy birthday. It is our pleasure to do and review this for you. So, let's dive into our main discussion.
Experience a progressive lens engineered with AI from Essilor, powered by individual measurements of your visual behavior. A lens personalized to you by an Essilor expert. Discover Verilux XR Track and enjoy instantly sharp vision in motion and seamless transitions from near to far. Find your local Essilor expert today at Essilor.com.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
Today, the beverage aisle looks a lot different than it used to. America's beverage companies are working together. We're delivering the options everyone wants. In fact, nearly 60% of beverages Americans buy have zero sugar. You'll find more variety than ever, including more of your favorites, now available with zero sugar. You'll also find more sizes and clear calorie information on the front of every can, bottle, and pack. We know when it comes to finding balance, the more choices, the better.
After all, it's a step in the right direction. It's a step in the right direction after all. After all, it's a step in the right direction. It's a step in the right direction after all.
All right, before we get started, let's talk about general information about this movie to whet our palate, to set the stage. This comes from Box Office Mojo, IMDb, Wikipedia, bonus material, and everywhere great bonus material is found. The studio, of course, was Walt Disney Productions. Directors were Ward Kimball and Robert Stevenson. Release date was December 13th, 1971. Budget, $20 million. And the box office kind of varies depending on who you're looking at. Wikipedia says $6.3 million and IMDb says $17.9 million. This is one of those, it's considered a live-action hybrid film, although there aren't that many sequences that are animated, but nonetheless, because it has animated sequences, it counts, and we are reviewing it on the podcast today.
I normally do put a trailer right here, but as I was looking for different trailers, there really weren't any good ones. But then normally I go for the original, and then after that I decide, okay, I'll look maybe for fan trailers, because you never know what you're going to find. And then the only one that I found was this one that ended up turning it into a horror movie.
I love those.
So I'm not going to play it in the episode, but it will go into the show notes of the episode.
So if you want the show notes for this and you want to check out that horror trailer, go to rotoscopers.com/190. For all of us, what are our first thoughts and recollections, memories of this film? And we'll start off with Chelsea because she's the birthday girl.
Yay!
And she has some explaining to do as far as choosing this one.
Okay, so this was a movie that is highly quotable in my house. So that is one of the main reasons why I like it. It also goes back to just memories of my brother and Marissa and I watching this. And so, you just have good family memories connected to it. And then also just it was just kind of from an era of of movies that was just so in and of it, it was just kind of a stamped, this is what it is. It was just, I have no other reason other than I just liked it.
Nice.
So nostalgia plays a heavy factor here.
Yes, highly.
Okay.
And we are very upfront and honest about our nostalgia bias on this podcast. So I know some people really like to discredit those that like things because of nostalgia, but that is A-okay in our book. So for me, I did not grow up watching this film. And I actually, the very first time that I saw it was my freshman year of college. I went down to the library and I checked it out from the library because the school library, the university library, had all these DVDs that you could check out. And I was such a big Disney fan, I finally wanted to check out all the ones that I'd never been able to see before and watched Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Now, obviously, I watched the whole thing through, but going into it this time, all I really could tell you about this is that there's Angela Lansbury, there's the dad from Mary Poppins, there's a few kids, they ride on a bed, and there's an animated sequence where they play soccer with lions and a bunch of animals. Couldn't tell you anything else. Maybe she was a witch, but other than that, the fact that it was
that's still debatable at the end of this film.
Right. The fact that it was set in World War II and then the Nazis come at the end and, the very beginning with the children who are kind of just being shoved into the countryside just so they can be safe. I was watching the beginning of this. I'm like, wow, I don't remember this at all. So for the first almost half hour of the film, it was just completely foreign to me, except for the occasional songs, which I do. The only reason I really knew of these songs was from those Disney's Greatest Hits CDs that came out in the 2000s.
Nice.
There were different volumes, and they were just kind of a hodgepodge of variety of Disney songs. And so, any of the there's like probably 3 or 4 Bedknobs and Broomsticks songs throughout those, and that's the only reason I know any of these songs. So there we go. That's Bedknobs and Broomsticks for me.
Yeah, for me, this is one of those films from my childhood that like took forever. Like whenever like a substitute teacher at school or someone would like put it on, it just seemed like it never ended. And so that's definitely one of those. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is one of them. Yeah, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is the other one, although I find that one slightly more entertaining than Bedknobs and Broomsticks than of course, Mary Poppins. Like, those are like the 3 films that I always kind of mixed up when I was a kid. And I had, when I finally watched the whole thing later, I didn't realize this was a war movie.
Right.
There's this heavy element of the Nazi invasion of Britain going on in the background. In fact, the whole motivation behind Angela Lansbury's character is to help with the war effort. So she's not just a witch, she's a patriotic witch. Churchill would be proud. And so, yeah, Miss Price wants to, she wants to screw with the Nazis while they're invading Britain. And so they go off on this like quest, this magical quest to find more spells. There's like a charter school that there's like a witch school that she's part of. It's like, man, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is one of those LSD Disney movies. This is one of those movies where the whole thing is explained by just giving these kids LSD, and that just explains the whole dang film. It makes so much more sense.
I thought you were talking about the trend.
Oh, if you take LSD while you watch it, it's also better. But I only know that that's just secondhand knowledge, for me. But so it was definitely one of those films.
Yeah, so what's really interesting is there really is an obsession with World War II era films and literature. There's tons of books even today that are set in World War II and movies. And for me, I have never I'm not drawn to these.
It was a great war.
My husband loves anything World War II, and I have friends that they'll read World War II novels, and just for me, like, as soon as it's set in World War II, it's just like, ugh. And it's just interesting that there is such an obsession to set your characters or your plot in this time period. But again, it was such a crucial period in the world's history. It makes sense.
Changed
but
everything.
To me, I never really associated this film as being, like you said, the Nazi invasion.
That's the whole point of the motivation behind the main character is to like screw with the Nazis using witchcraft.
I'll be honest, going back into and watching it this time, like, there are a lot of things that I had never really put into different context other than, oh, that's a fun movie, Mm-hmm. And like a lot of things. Like,
just watch the armor battle at the very end. Just no context. Just watch that alone and be like, can you make sense of what the heck is going on
First off, okay, I know we're jumping straight to the end, guys, but with all of those,
fine with me.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of suits of armor. Like, what was this place?
Oh my gosh, the scale. It was a museum, I think.
A museum would not have that many pieces, though. It just didn't make sense if you're actually to think about it.
They have their
Where
archives.
Would they store all of this? I guess.
Oh, they got their basements. Watch Scooby-Doo. Every museum has this giant labyrinth beneath it. I think... Well, we'll get to that later, but I think that whole finale is incredible. But yeah,
let's start at the very beginning. A very great place to start. Which this kind of did remind me a little bit about The Sound of Music, which is set in the same era. It's a musical. It's not Disney per se, but it has Angela Lansbury's, I guess, counterpart. They're not really rivals in a way, but they were just kind of like these leading ladies that sing in the 50s and 60s, where we have Angela Lansbury. But there were a few elements that I was like, this kind of is like Sound of Music, but not that many.
What was really interesting is that Julie Andrews was offered this part first before Angela Lansbury.
But was this before Mary Poppins?
Pre-production for this film was going on at the same time as Mary Poppins, because you had the Sherman brothers working on both. And so that's why The Beautiful Brian You See was actually supposed to be in Mary Poppins, but then got pushed over to this.
Really?
And
as the Sherman brothers did with many of their songs.
Right.
If it got caught from one, it's in the Jungle Book, or it's
right.
Yeah.
All over
Which
the
good
place.
for them. That's a lot of work.
It is, yeah. Well, so what happened is she was offered this one, and at first she declined, And then afterwards, she came back thinking, oh, well, Disney did give me like the biggest break of everything. And so, okay, I'll do it. But by the time she had come back and changed her mind, they had already offered it to Angela Lansbury. And Angela Lansbury was using this as kind of a jumping off point to kind of bring back her Broadway career. That was the main reason why she wanted to do this film. So it's really interesting how these all just like corresponded around the same time period. This was interesting too because this movie has a lot of laughs associated with it. First off, it was the last movie that the Sherman Brothers did together before they broke off because they were having their brother's tiff, and that lasted until 2000. And 2000 was the very last thing that they did together.
I did not know
Winnie
that.
the Pooh. Yeah. And so they separated at that point. So you had that one, which was the last with them. And then this was the last movie released before Roy O. Disney died. And then this was the last Disney branded movie to win an Oscar until The Little Mermaid.
Wow.
Touchstone received a couple Oscars in between the time periods. But as far as Disney branded, this was the last one.
Yeah, this one won an Academy Award for Best Special Visual Effects. And I never knew what those effects were until I rewatched it and saw the
rotoscoping and
the stuff at the very end. And I was like, okay, now it makes sense because everything else is just animation. But yeah, man, what a year to win a special effects award in 1971, man. Like the sky was the limit back then.
Yeah, right.
But I really enjoy some of the special effects in this one. There's a lot of they take a lot of time out to do like little song and dance performances, and there's little bits and little scenes like when they're on Porta Potty Road, and that there's this old man that kind of creeps up on the kids, and he's like really bendy, and and it lasts like 10 seconds, and he wants to shake his hand. The kid doesn't want to shake his hand, and he's like, so he just kind of slithers away. It's like weird random stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's just like little chunks. This is like an odyssey of like chunks of stuff that happened, and I think as a kid it was really hard for me to digest this. Mostly because the cartoonish parts were so tiny.
Yeah. One thing about this film is that it, like the film we just did, Kiki's Delivery Service, it very much is taking its time and has a slower pace than a lot of the films that we're used to today, which are boom, 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 you get into the action, off you go, and there's really not a lot of time. But this, even within the musical numbers, like you say, Mason, there's these extended dance scenes and there's extended parts of it. You know, when I was listening to those soundtracks, they cut those out, and so as I was watching,
Highland
I'm like, wait,
dancing.
This is supposed to end now, but no, there's 4 more minutes of like the Jamaicans dancing and the Highlanders and everybody.
Right.
Everyone gets in on it.
Everyone gets in on it, which extends the runtime. And I don't know if it, I mean, I liked that sequence because I liked seeing all the different nationalities and cultures, but there's just a lot of those scenes that kind of just keep going and going and going that make it really long.
Yeah, well, there were a couple songs actually cut from the movie.
There was more?
There was more. And that was actually one of the other issues with the Sherman Brothers. They left right around here, and because of the fact that they cut a lot of the songs, but left in all of the dancing, because they were going to be... from what I was reading on IMDb, they said that it was going to be premiered right after they did the Rockettes, and so they had to only like stay within a certain amount of time, so they ended up cutting like all of this but keeping all of this. And I'm thinking, why did they keep so much dancing? I don't know. Other than the 60s,
70s.
It was the 70s. Yeah,
That's what
I guess.
got people excited back then. They're like, oh man, new dance moves from the Highlanders.
They didn't have the internet to just go check it out.
That's true.
No TikTok. Yeah.
This was the TikTok of the 1970s.
And it's funny, like 5 years from now, somebody's going to listen to this episode and think, oh, TikTok, the MySpace of the...
You're like, oh man, I remember that. That was so cool. Now we just have brain space.
I think the interesting and fun thing that sets this movie apart is the fact that Mrs. Price, or Miss Price, she wants to be a witch.
She's a Miss Price.
And she is taking this basically male correspondence Hogwarts course to become a witch, and is pretty good at it and is learning, and she gets her broom and she's excited, and then it really kicks off when she's missing the last piece, the final stage, which doesn't really make sense because at the very beginning it's like, here's your acceptance letter, the owl just came, here's your broom. She's like, wait, but I didn't get my last part. So I don't know, it just, had she been doing it a long time? There was a clerical error,
and there was a credit hour missing on her transcript, and she don't get to learn the last spell.
Yeah, she should have, I don't know, he should have sent her the whole course all at once and she could do it at her own pace. But then we're introduced to the headmaster, who is a total quack.
Yeah, explain that to me. So he wasn't actually a wizard, but all the stuff that he invented was actually real?
No. So he had found a book, and it was ripped in half, and so he only had a certain amount of the spells. And so what I feel like what happened was he started this correspondence course where you pay every month to receive a new
a subscription service for which.
That's what I'm guessing. This makes more sense to me. And so he's and then at the very, because I feel like at the very end, because she knew about this spell and was waiting for this spell, but it was like the last lesson, and so she had to get through all of the other. It's like when you go to Winco or whatever, and they like make you walk through all of these different aisles before you get to anything that you actually want to get to. But anyway, or the grocery store, the milk is always in the very back. So he ends up giving her all of these other spells, sends her a cat, I guess, and this broom, and just along the way. And then is like, well, I don't have any other. I can't give you this last one, so I'm just going to close it down so that I can blame the war. But what was weird about it is I feel like she's like the only one that was doing this course.
All you need is one sucker.
I know. And it's like, I feel like he was like talking to her as if I have millions of these, but like he had actually closed down the college, because when she met with him, he's like, oh no, I closed that. And so it's like, so did you just close it for her? That was something that I never
sure
noticed
he closed
before.
it because the plot demanded that he close it.
Right, exactly.
They said he closed it because of the war, but that didn't make any sense because he still could have run this business and done his whatever he was doing on the street. But yeah, it was interesting to say the least. But, of course, out of all the people that he sends these sham, what he thinks is just, crock magic tricks, she actually does have the gift, if you will.
They work for you. Yeah. Okay, can we talk about the kids for a second? Go back to
let's
that.
please do.
Couldn't tell you their names.
Yet another, totally not. Yet another Disney movie where a bunch of kids get thrust onto a female caregiver who wants nothing to do with them, but then later falls in love with them. Could we have condensed the 3 kids into 2? Am I the only one who thinks that?
I always thought, remembering back to this film, that there were 2. And then when there was a 3rd, I'm like, oh, cool. I still couldn't really tell you their names, although I think there was, what was the boy who she had gifted, or
Bam Bam.
Yes. Yeah, he was really the only memorable one, but we didn't need 3.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, they had each one of them. No, even the girl didn't really have much going on other than her just saying, kind of a random spot here and there. It wasn't needed.
I'm looking at the box art for on IMDb, and on all these box arts, it always features the animals playing soccer, which is like an 8-minute sequence, and then every single one of these has the kids just hanging out on the bed, just like looking like little brats. There's even one where the kids are on the bed and Angela Lansbury is like shielding them with her arms, like like there's something horrible is gonna happen, like, and it's just Mike because there's no seatbelts on that thing.
Yeah,
that's an OSHA violation right there.
It's a bumpy ride. I'm surprised that didn't make its way to Disneyland.
Oh, that'd be great. Do the Bedknobs and Broomsticks ride. Warning: this has no seatbelts to stay authentic to the original text. The sacred texts. But anyway, that's a thing. And then some of these posters they paint. There's a painted version where Angela Lansbury looks like she's like 20, when I know for a fact she was not 20 in this film.
She was 46 because I always this is really sad, but Angela Lansbury has just always been old to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, even in this movie, you'd think like, oh, she was like, it was such a long time ago. She was probably really young. But then I was looking at her and I'm like, you're not in your 20s. Because, like, for example, in The Parent Trap, the 1961 one, the lady, basically the Meredith Blake, or Vicky, I guess her name is in that one, she has, like, frosty silver hair. And so just that alone kind of ages her more than she is. And I always thought that she was so old, when in reality she's like, if you look at her as an adult, you're like, wow, she's stunning and beautiful, she just has silver hair. But Angela Lansbury is not a spring chicken in this. She's 46 at the time, when it was released, which is interesting and awesome that they cast her versus like a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old or a little bombshell. It's
interesting having a love story with characters
people
that do not fit the norm of the 20-something with the slap and bod. But Angela Lansbury still proves during this movie that she can dance, she can sing, she can do her thing, and she can ride on a broom, and she can command troops from the air.
Yes.
For Britain.
Was anyone else impressed when what's his name? The croc guy. Hold on.
We're so terrible at this. Emilius.
Yes. Did anyone else notice when Emilius was kind of like having a vision or his dream, and then Miss Price, she appeared, like as his assistant, wearing like the fancy, basically showgirl
the leotard.
Right.
Yes,
exactly.
and I was like, "Whoa, there we go. Way to work
you
it,
gotta,
girl."
You gotta move. You gotta have room for those legs, because it's a very physically demanding occupation.
I just thought it was funny. He imagines her like that. Like, this is what we're going to be when we are together. Eglantine and Emilius.
He can't help it. He's a guy.
Yeah. That's the furthest thing from her character. If you actually look at her and know her.
I know.
Like, that's a no.
As a man, as the representative.
Okay.
Take it away, man.
No, it's completely natural. I'm not going to lecture anyone on that, but he's a dude. Even when you're like 50, like Emilius is in this movie, you never stop being a dude.
There you go.
So there's an invasion. There's a race against time to learn the spell.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is that, he found this book. It happened to be real, and then he changed some of the spells to make them a little better, a little bit more modern sounding. And that's the reason why her spells aren't necessarily working. Like anytime she's trying to do a toad, is because he has modified the spell from the original version. So it's not working the way that it should, because she's not saying the words as they properly should. And so, yeah, if I were her, I would get my hands on the original copy as soon as possible.
It's in the restricted section.
Yes, indeed. I know. Didn't it look like the books that Hagrid gives out?
Oh, the Monster Book of Monsters.
The Monster Book of Monsters.
I love that concept. Boy, if
you
the
got
wizards
to stroke it.
You got to stroke it. The wizarding world of Harry Potter is like anything but practical. It's like we have the most zany ways of accomplishing things. But anyway, substitutionary locomotion is what we're looking for.
Substitutionary locomotion.
That's
okay,
it.
So my favorite songs in this actually are Eglantine, for whatever reason, is a fun one to me. Because I like the fact that he's like scrolling, like just rolling around on this ladder in this really cool library, and it has always made me want a library and a ladder just like that. That one is a song that I always think about. But then Substitutionary Locomotion is next, and then Beautiful Briny Sea. Those are the songs I think of.
Beautiful briny sea.
Yeah, the ones for me that stand out are basically the ones that were on the Disney Hits album, which is Beautiful Briny Sea, Portobello Road,
Portobello.
Step in the Right Direction, Substitutionary Locomotion for sure. Those are the ones that I remember, and so when they started playing, I'm like, ooh, my ears perked up. Like, I know this.
Oh yeah, and Portobello Road, when I went to... When my brother and I went and traveled around Europe, we definitely made sure we were like, okay, places that we have to visit in England. Portobello Road, yes. So I have a picture of us over at Portobello Road, only because of this.
So Porta Potty Road is like the place that you go to find out about the magic stuff. They gotta get to the old bookseller.
I mean, it's just like a flea market. Like everybody comes out and sells their wares.
And they have to find the star.
The Star of Astaroth.
That's right.
See, Chelsea knows all the names of things because of her nostalgia.
Okay, so we're getting into demonology. Great. Okay, Disney.
I know.
I see you.
That
I
was
see
the
y'all.
other thing. Okay, so there was a couple things in here that this time I've gotten very much more like, what the crap is up with that? Like, first off, they never really tell us about what happened to the kids' parents.
Mm-hmm.
They am I supposed to assume that they're orphans? I don't know.
They're refugees. Yeah, there's that war thing. You know, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, when they just sent all the kids away.
Right, which I do not approve of. So
you don't? If the if the invading army was marching towards your town, you wouldn't send your kids out?
I would go with them.
Oh, you'd go with them?
Yeah, I'd be like, all right, let's all peace out. I would definitely
I would stand my ground and be like,
hand over my kids to the government.
I would stand my ground and be like, take your swing. you're mincemeat. But anyway,
shake harder, boy. No, I would definitely be. I would not be handing over my kids to the government. # save the children. So I just wouldn't. So that was one thing that bothered me. And then, the fact that it was like all like the Star of Astaroth and everything. It was like, oh wow, these are all demonizing. Like they take ideas and then let's just like soften it to, it's not what it means.
Make it fun for kids.
Right. I'm like, oh man.
Well, I also noticed that, okay, they needed this, and so they just went and their whole plan was to steal it, which happens a lot of the times in the movies because you're seeing it from the stage or from the point of view of the protagonist, and so you assume what they're doing is good. But I'm like, it's been in his family for years. It kind of is his. Like, what gives them any right to go in and steal this simply because she needs to, I guess, save the world from Nazi invasion? I guess that's an okay reason, but
it's a pretty good reason.
I don't know.
Is there ever a reason to pillage and plunder? No.
You mean if you could go back in time and stop the Nazis, but you had to summon demons to do it, you wouldn't do it?
Yeah,
I'd take my chances.
Oh man.
So we're looking for the Star of Astaroth. Okay. So there's an island.
And we hop into magical animation land, which for most people, this is what they remember from this film.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Beautiful,
right?
briny sea, and the island.
And the soccer match.
Yeah, this is where the LSD starts kicking in, because we underwater now, folks.
Right.
Basically, any time that they are transporting to and from places is when it starts shifting, like the colors go wonky. It's kind of like in Willy Wonka when they're
all 2001 Space Odyssey.
Yeah, it's like red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. Like, whew, someone got a little heavy-handed with the color correction here.
They probably didn't have like After Effects or anything, so they couldn't scrub back and forth to see what they were actually doing. They're just like, screw it, put in more red, more blue here. Okay, go every other frame on this one. Nah, they make it though, and so it is requisite to the plot for Miss Price and Amelius to win a dance contest underwater in front of a bunch of fish. And boy, do they have the advantage. They have this newfangled thing called legs, which we didn't see until the 80s when Ariel got her legs. And so this was like a huge deal for the underwater kingdom.
That's true. That's true.
And they win themselves a briny dance contest.
So would this fit into the overall Disney theory?
Oh, what is it?
Where all movies are connected somehow?
Hey, if you're a Disney theorist, then you will find a way to make it connect.
Yes, you will.
Right.
You will find a way. You will find it. Yeah, sure. Let's just say that.
Well, this very much reminded me of Mary Poppins when, likewise, they're transported into an animated world.
Oh, with the penguins.
And then win a magical race and get the top prize. It's just like, oh, this outsider who we have no idea. We're just going to let them compete in our
These live action people
contest.
are so, they're so imperialist.
Yeah.
They come in, they invade animated worlds. This should be on Kingdom Hearts.
And they take the prizes.
Kingdom Hearts 4 should be about stopping Angela Lansbury and David Tomlinson and Dick Van Dyke and what's her name? And
Julie Andrews.
Julie Andrews from invading other animated worlds and winning contests just because they have legs and they have human intelligence. It would fit in the overall plot of Kingdom Hearts, believe me. There are weirder things in that series. But anyway, you can have that for free, Disney. You can have that idea for free. My favorite part of the film, of course, is the footy match on the island of Ubuntu, and we have King Leonidas, and for some reason, they really need a referee, although there's blatant disregard for the rules of football. But this is definitely my favorite. I love that there's the predators are on. No, they're not all predators, but the yellows,
definitely more aggressive animals.
yeller fellers are just chomping at the bit and scratching the ground trying to get at the true blues, and they're just like, they do the little skeleton dancing sound. They're just like shivering in their boots. I really love the cheetah and how he has to pull up his pants to run. And they all have these like little quirks. Really fun stuff. And while I was watching it, I was like, man, if I was ever teaching an animation class and I wanted to go over the 12 principles of animation, I would just show this sequence, because everything's in there at such an exaggerated scale, and it's so self-contained in that one sequence. So I would definitely show that. And so much squash and stretch, anticipation, like comedic timing and staging, and the secondary motion of all the fun animal things going on. And, appealing characters because, like, it fits. Like, the rhinoceros is a hardhead, and the Lion King is very proud. Conspiracy alert. Woo. The Lion King actually stole their idea not from Kimba the lion, but from Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Where they become a little bit less...
Disney betrayed us.
I don't know. This guy reminded me of... more Prince John and the other Prince Richard from Robin Hood, which was to come.
Maybe this is Prince Richard while he was on the Crusades,
Yes.
This is all he did.
This is before he converted.
Played football.
And star.
What is it? What is football? Is football not an holy sport?
No, it's the star that he's wearing. And
oh, that's right. His demon icon. His graven image. Oh boy! Well,
awesome.
King Richard converted from his demon worship and became a crusader. I don't know if that was any improvement, but anyway, here we are. And so I really enjoyed this as a kid, because as a young boy of 6 to 8 years old, I really enjoyed footage of people getting run over by things. And so watching Emilius get totally torn apart by the soccer team, and then the freaking vultures, man, I love their disappointment.
Also pulled from either Jungle Book or Robin Hood.
Hey, they might not look like much, but they got hearts and feelings too. Yeah, they couldn't book the Beatles for this, but they couldn't get their likenesses for this one. But yeah, I love their disappointment every time they can't collect as the Undertakers. But man, such chaos and some cool animation. Like I'm guessing this was before the Xerox years. I'm just gonna. I do believe that, or maybe no, it was after the Xerox years. Those were the
after.
60s, and so. I don't know how they accomplished.
Because wasn't the beginning of the Xerox 101 Dalmatians, and it went through Robin Hood?
Believe so.
So
but this doesn't.
Smack dab.
The animation doesn't look like it. Like I can't see like the smears of the.
Right.
I can't see like the artifacts and stuff. So, but like sequences where they're all like tumbling and tripping over each other at once, and they all careen into the the football goal in the net and stuff. Like I don't know if that was just a bunch of like straight ahead stuff, or or if that was just a bunch of transparencies on top of each other. But some of that stuff is kind of cool to watch, and it's a fun like standalone sequence. This would have made a good Goofy tune, There was a football one with Goofy that's just insane, yes. And so this one's kind of got that same energy.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of chaos after like the hours of to my 8-year-old mind, pointless dialogue and like globetrotting and stuff that doesn't even make sense. But all good things must come to an end, because our swindler Emilius, our con man, our practitioner of prestidigitation, switches the Star of Astaroth with his referee whistle. Dusty muzzle.
You know how I feel about this. Which they discover later that they didn't even need it in the first place, that they just needed the text. Which I would have thought from the very beginning, like you don't actually need the star. There's no spell that says, okay, you need to hold at the star to summon. They just need the text, but again, that would have shortened the plot by 20 minutes, and we can't have that. This was the 60s after all. You had to hit a full 2 hours.
They could have just been like, hey, do you have a piece of paper we can write down what it says on your... like, instead of becoming thieves. Come on now. So they end up going back. I do have to say, one of my favorite quotes from this section was like the no peopling allowed.
That's right.
Yeah, no peopling allowed. Okay.
I love to people. I get up in the morning and I try to get 15 minutes of peopling in.
Well, I feel like the last wizard that went there was probably the bad egg that ended up trying to steal everything. It was Astaroth.
He gave them the gift of cartoon anthropomorphism.
That's true. And they were like, nope, can't have this anymore.
Yeah, what a tale. That's a movie right there.
Yeah, right. So, okay, we go back, and now we are in the house and trying to come up with a way to make things move. And then they come up with the fun little version of substitutionary locomotion. Da, 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 da. It's great.
Yeah, if something doesn't work in a Disney film, just make it into a song.
Jazz it up.
Jazz it up. That's right.
Because that's literally basically what he says to her. She's saying the words, and he's like, no. It needs more oomph.
Yeah. Well, like when you go even on Portobello Road, it's like Portobello Road, and then he goes to the piano. He's like, "Oh no, Grandpa, you can't excite people with a song like that. You can't sell a piano like that." And he's like, "Portobello Road, Portobello Road." I'm just like, oh, it's amazing.
Put some staccato into it.
Right. So at the very end of this scene, you have this priest guy who was like coming in. We have to make sure the children have religion. And as I was looking on IMDb,
we got witchcraft, dude.
Right.
They are way down that rabbit hole. You would not believe where these children have been with this witch.
Yeah. So another option, like they were looking at different actors to play this guy. Mr. Jelk was his name. And one of them was Elvis Presley. And I would just like you to take a minute to think, what would that
Look at what the world lost.
What would that whole section of anything with him in there, like trying to be a priest, Elvis Presley? The picture just boggles my mind and makes me laugh inside.
Yeah, either that. Yeah, instead of Elvis Presley, we got one of the actors from one of the apes from Planet of the Apes. To think, and the guy from Fright Night. Okay, so you're telling me that Elvis Presley was. Can you confirm this? How do you know this? Are you using your music industry connections to tell us exclusive knowledge?
No, this was IMDb that I
just
Is this
something
David
Archuleta confided in you as part of the code of the musicians? I will now pass down the sacred knowledge that Elvis Presley was once considered for a role in Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. I'm a musician. I can play the harmonica.
There you go.
You can trust me with your sacred Elvis knowledge.
Nope.
Okay, fine.
It's closed.
So how would they have done it? Would he have kept his Elvis persona, or would he have, kind of...
I don't know.
It's like Michael Jackson in The Simpsons, where he did it and everyone knew it was him, but it was never officially confirmed until like 20 years later.
Celebrity appearances in animation are such a bore now. It's like Peter Griffin walks into his living room. He's like, "Holy crap, Lois! It's Mike Tyson right here in the living room," but it's not actually voiced by him. It's just
right.
And she's like, "Peter."
Tangent time. Since you brought it up,
so I will allow one tangent.
Just one.
We have music now for this segment, Mason.
It's true.
Wait, we do? What's that supposed to mean?
We have
anytime someone says tangent time, we cue the music and we add it in post.
There's tangent time music? Sorry, obviously I do not listen to my own podcast.
Chelsea, that's okay. Chelsea, sing it. Take it away.
Tangent time, tangent time, tangent time, tangent time. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme. Here we go. It's tangent time.
That's great.
Yeah, it's great. So at this, when you mentioned that Michael Jackson was on The Simpsons, so he was actually the speaking voice on The Simpsons, but they could not afford for him to actually sing, and so they hired
I love The Simpsons.
Michael Jackson has a guy that he goes with him. If they can't afford me, they'll hire this dude because he is somebody that I have
MJ approved.
MJ
approved MJ impersonator.
Which,
Yes. And so it was
just his
like,
voice.
it was
He doesn't have to
something
look
they
like Michael Jackson. He could be 300 pounds if you know.
That's why the guy was white and 300 pounds.
Oh my goodness, that's great though. Boy,
Yeah. So anyway,
you could look nothing. Man, what a time to be alive! You could look nothing like Michael Jackson. You could be a total failure, and you know, not that weighing 300 pounds makes you a failure. And then someone comes up and is like, "Hey, Michael Jackson wants to hire you to be his voice when they cannot afford his real voice."
right.
That's great.
So he did all the speaking parts, but this other guy did the vocals. But it was one of those hush hush things that they weren't allowed to say. But after he died, they're like, "No, we're saying it."
More tidbits
coming
from
out.
the world of showbiz.
Yeah. All right, in tangent time.
Now you have to play the song in reverse when you say "end tangent time." Why don't we have the rights for that song? We could really be making bank. Okay, and so I think at this point, Miss Price starts to come around to these brats, little termites. I mean, precious little things. And so we've got this situation where Mr. Brown he doesn't want to commit to being a volunteer father.
Which was weird.
Obviously there's a romance blooming, but then after the whole fiasco with the Nazis and the disembodied armor, he decides to become the father of the children and move in and stuff. It's like, does that make it official? Do they sleep in separate rooms? Like, I never really got that they were in love. Like
in love at all. There was no romance.
I mean, they're no Aladdin and Jasmine, that's for sure. But you know, there's no sparks. I'm not seeing the boom, the pow,
I thought it was really weird that he kisses her goodbye and then like goes off and joins.
It's the British
militia.
way. It's the British way. You confess your love, then you immediately join the army.
But it's like this is a local militia that just kind of like walks around the town. Like, it's not that big of a deal, right?
And he's not even
from
there.
They train very hard, you know, and they've got Dungeons and Dragons on Thursdays, and sometimes that bleeds over into Fridays because they go late, and so you know it's a commitment.
It is a commitment. Oh, funny.
As fate would have it, the Nazis decide to come and blow up the local children's refugee center, as they do. And just in time, and there's the whole rabbit thing.
Oh, follow the white rabbit. That's another thing. Yeah.
So he learns a little magic, and he is what do you call it? He's an animagus.
Yes.
He's an animagus like Professor McGonagall. So anyway, he decides they decide to stand their ground and win one for Britain, and so there's some fighting. There's some espionage, there's some fighting, there's some disguises, there's some enchantment, and then we finally get this incredible climax of the film where it's just like scores and scores and legions of animated armor just show up.
My favorite part is when the Scots show up with the bagpipes and everyone just turns and looks at him like, what?
Oh, that's right. The king like looks to his right, and there's the old medieval people, and he looks to his left, and there's like the conquistadors and the and the redcoats and stuff. So man, they are all in for Britain. Their British pride it transcends time and space. And if I was a spirit and I could, if like a dead spirit, and I could come back in a suit of armor and like beat up on a bunch of Nazis, that'd be like the funnest thing, because they're like taking rounds to the head, and they're taking machine gun rounds, and then they just take the helmet off and just
dump the bullets.
But this is a Disney film, so they actually can't like stab or dismember or eviscerate any of these bad guys, and so they just do like kind of cartoon mischief type violence, like spitting a bullet at a Nazi and it knocks him out,
right,
or kicking one in the bum and sending him running. Or my favorite one is and I don't know how they pulled this off, but it's the lower half of a suit of armor and it's walking, and stuck inside of the suit, of the pants part of the suit, is a Nazi whose like feet are dangling and he can't move, the old stick a guy in the barrel gag. Oh, is this more movie magic that only Chelsea knows?
IMDb knows it.
Okay. Boy, there is no magic left in the world, is there? Just the internet.
No. So he's actually walking, and then they just have animatronic legs stuck to his hips. So it's like when you go to those, you have those.
I want to see that guy walking
Halloween
around the Disney parks.
Yes, it's like when you have those Halloween costumes where it's like, people are partially here or there.
Where they're like riding an ostrich,
Right.
But the ostrich is just them. I've seen pet costumes like that, and they're like really funny.
They are funny.
Why was your first go-to riding an ostrich?
I don't know.
Because who wouldn't?
Of course.
I mean, that's definitely something you can't do like normally.
Next on our list, we're going to be watching Swiss Family Robinson.
Oh,
just
that's
for
right.
Mason.
That's right. They did it in there. I don't know.
I called a zebra.
Oh, the zebra. Very good.
I want my tiger.
And then, so they just wail on these guys, and they send them running. But the chumps that they are, they can't just retreat without blowing something up and ruining someone's lives. So they actually put an end to Miss Price's black magic career, a career delving into the occult, and they blow up her workshop, basically. So what happens is she's just like, well, that's it.
That's that.
Because she has a horrible memory and can't remember anything. She
took one for Britain, and man, the bowler hat and the flag at the end of her broom, she is decked out.
Yeah, I guess she could go find the book guy and get the second half of the book and just rely on those spells. Or she still has her little mini version pocket. Oh no, she doesn't have, unless her pocketbook was with her.
She forgot to charge up her Kindle, so now. My favorite part is when she gets blown out of the sky by the explosion, and the next shot so she reacts, Angela Lansbury reacts, and then the next shot is like a mannequin being tossed in the air with like a broom. It's like, man, that's great stuff. She just lands in the bushes. Yeah. So anyway,
movie magic right there at its finest.
Yeah, and so we're joining the militia now. But
the end. Yeah.
But she thwarted the Nazi invasion using black magic, and so
they scare them all away. And then it shows at the very end, it's like there was nobody really knows what happened that night. I guess there was some notice of people, but it just kind of went away.
They didn't have brooms of their own to get on the scene fast enough.
Right.
So yeah, big hullabaloo, but no one really knows what's happened. The end. Any questions? No. Goodbye. The end. What does Mad Eye Moody say? Oh yeah, that's right. They're all old people too. So, but there could have been a sequel, because at the very end, one of the kids is like, I still have the bed knob.
Right.
So it's like, if you were to write Bedknobs and Broomsticks 2, The Broomstickening, who would star in it, and what would the plot be about?
Like today?
So obviously, if they remade Bedknobs and Broomsticks, or the more honorable thing is to make a sequel instead of just rebooting the whole thing and claiming the. Anyway, so I think it would mandatory have to have Josh Gad in it. Mandatory.
You could see that, yeah.
Yeah, mandatory. Would have to have.
Would he be Emilius Brown?
So Josh Gad would actually be the warthog at the soccer match, but he would there'd be no CG. It would just be Josh Gad with a warthog like prosthetic face, and and that would just be it. This would be a very abstract, very very dark film, very very dark and gritty. And so he would basically carry everything. It's going to be one of those films where he actually plays 90% of the cast. Like Master of Disguise or Austin Powers.
Right.
We probably need to have Donald Glover in there somewhere.
So is he the kid that grew up?
Donald Glover is the narrator. He shows up. He's the omniscient narrator, and he shows up and he expounds on things that are happening. So the year is 2020, and so Bedknobs and Broomsticks 2 is about the kids all grown up, and they decide to save the world by finding a bigger bed.
A bigger bed?
That could fit people. Yeah, fit people in it, and they shove people onto the bigger bed, and they rise out of the air to get out of the airborne qualities of COVID-19. This is a very poignant, it's a very brave, very impactful film, and Josh Gad plays almost every character, and Jeff Bridges plays King Leonidas. Because he
he could do it,
because he always plays those bombastic, insane characters, and then I think I really want Robert Pattinson to be in this movie, but I just don't know how. Like he is overbooked these days. So since this is a darker and a grittier film,
he could be the king. Did you see him in the movie The King?
No.
Oh, he played this French character who's great. So
Oui, oui.
we could fit him in.
He could be
If they
superimposed,
if they
Why don't they
projected
make him
his
Bookman?
face onto the soccer ball, then that could be a nice little cameo.
Sneak him in.
No, he's the bookman.
Nice.
He's the bookman.
He's the bookman.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Well, there we go, guys.
Who am
If
I-
you were really hankering for a recast, remake, reboot, sequel
Who am I missing?
of
Oh, we
Bedknobs
need-
and Broomsticks, there you go.
Millie Bobby Brown plays every child.
Okay.
We're condensing all the children into one child, and she is a child genius because she always plays the special character that is great. They leave her in the underwater kingdom because she really wants to dance, and that's
Makes
just
sense.
kind of it. They swing by every 2 years to replenish her oxygen supply. It's a very dark and gritty film. It's not for everyone, but it's got a little something for everyone.
Oh, good. Yeah. I like it.
So, guys, with that, I mean, that's the movie I really want to watch, but we just watched this one. So, what would you rate it?
I'm going to give this movie 4 stars because it's enjoyable, imaginative, and easily quotable, and I've got enough good feelings about it that I'm like, yeah, it's 4 stars.
I'm probably going to give it 2.5 stars. It was okay, and there were definitely points that I liked, which mostly are found in the animation sequences. And some of the songs are super memorable, but it really does drag, and it's slow. It's really slow at the beginning. It kind of picks up in the middle once we start getting on the quest. But then even then it's a little slow. And at the very end, while that sequence is really cool with the suits of armor and everything that's happening there, and of course, the Nazi invasion that they just decided to appear and invade this little town. So, but still, it kind of is slow once they get back into reality and start having to figure things back out. So, yeah, I just don't have a lot of nostalgia attached to this film. And watching it this time around, it was like, okay, yeah, I'm just watching it. And there are definitely good moments, but I don't need to watch it for a while.
All right.
Yeah, I'll probably give it something like 2 stars. Maybe I still have the mind of an 8-year-old, but I just found this kind of long and boring. And I'm happy that it has a special place in Chelsea's heart. And I really like the soccer match and the part at the end with the suits of armor. But other than that, a lot of this film's kind of forgettable for me. It just didn't fit into my childhood, so I have no nostalgic connection to it. Like some of the song and dance stuff is kind of cool to watch. But yeah, that's about it. Sorry.
No
Love
worries.
it.
We're cool.
Happy birthday, Chelsea.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I enjoyed myself, and that is all I care about on my birthday.
Yay.
Yay.
How pleasant, bobbing along on the bottom of the beautiful briny sea. What a chance to get a better peep at the plants and creatures of the deep. We glide.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Animation Addicts podcast. For all things that we have mentioned and referenced in this episode, be sure to go to the show notes, rotoscopers.com/190. But before we sign off, it is the moment that everybody waits for. It's our Mason's Reviews segment.
It's the timestamp that they fast forward to every time.
Yes, they're like, all I want to hear is Mason's
yeah,
voices.
yada. Okay.
And Mason is going to read one of our 5-star reviews. This time it's from Marco. Marco did not select a voice, so I am going to do the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Criminally, this podcast lets me know that there are others who are as obsessed with animated movies as I am. Stands out among the crew because it delves way beyond the surface level in their discussion. Great to listen to while drawing. All's well all the time. Man, I haven't done that one in forever.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us today on my birthday episode. I'm very much
Is this everything you ever dreamed for in a
Everything.
podcast, Chelsea?
Yes, everything all I ever needed to talk about and be able to watch this week. Yay. Everyone say yay.
Yay.
All right. For show notes, once again, go to 190. I've got some fun stuff in there. So, all right. We ready?
Until next time,
we are the Rotoscopers.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Hello.
I forgot what I was going to say. Ubuntu Island. No, that's the Linux shell. Naboombu. And do you think Mrs. Norris is actually Filch, but an animagus? Do they share any scenes together?
No, they do.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they do.
Together, yeah.
Well, there goes that theory. That theory lasted like 2 seconds. That's all right. No skin off my back.
I'm sure there were people on the internet who will still argue your side, though, Mason.
Yeah, so the Nazis are...
Because he must have a time turner.
They're preparing something big. What if Filch is actually the most powerful wizard? Did you know, according to this theory... I can see the YouTube videos.
No, he has a time turner, and he just, like, every hour spins one as a cat, one as a
What's
human.
up, you guys? It's your boy, Mason. I'm here with another insane, mind-blowing Harry Potter theory. I just thought of it, like, 2 seconds ago. Dig this. Filch is actually the most powerful wizard in Harry Potter. Top 15 most powerful wizards. Number 15, Angela Lansbury.
God tier.
Angela Lansbury from Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Y'all don't even know what I'm talking about.